NATO has committed to raising its defence spending as Donald Trump arrives back on home soil. Joining me live now is former US Ambassador to Kazakhstan, as well as Georgia, and adjunct senior fellow at RAND Corporation, a think tank in the US focusing on policy analysis. Joining me live is William Courtney. He joins me now. Lovely to have your company today. Thank you for joining us. Let's discuss NATO first. What do you make of the NATO meeting, leaders committing to raising defence spending?
NATO has been quite successful in building a broad consensus to create a 5% ceiling or threshold for defense spending. 3.5% would be direct defense spending. 1.5% could be infrastructure that supports defense, such as bridges and roads, for example, in Europe, where tanks might have to transit, as well as cybersecurity. Only Spain really is not fully on board there. So this is a big success for NATO.
I mean, there is this ongoing debate now between Donald Trump and differing reports at the moment, debate over Iran's nuclear facilities. Trump says obliterated. The CIA this morning saying severely damaged. CNN reporting only a few months' worth of damage. What's your take on all of that? What's your assessment?
It's still too early. Doing battle damage assessment typically takes time. You need photographs, some satellites, perhaps airplanes, other things. And then, of course, for damage that's underground, there probably at some point needs to be some access to information developed when people go back underground to find out what happened. So to give you an example, at Fordo, there were these massive ordnance penetrators, 30,000-pound bombs. We don't know the extent to which the shock wave, the high-pressure shock wave, may have damaged delicate enrichment equipment below that, centrifuges. So probably there's going to be some time before full knowledge is known.
So the CIA this morning in its comments said it has a reliable and accurate method of determining what damage has been done. What do you make of those comments? You're saying essentially it's too early to tell. So what method is it using?
Well, for example, on the issue of damage under Fordo, it may take some time there, but there are a lot of other parts of the process to develop a nuclear weapon. Many of those are above ground, and a lot of those were destroyed. So if you look at the full supply chain, if you will, to develop a nuclear weapon, there may have been a lot of damage there that would set back the program.
And I mean, a lot of debate at the moment is those satellite images coming in, potentially showing trucks potentially removing uranium and whether that's possible or not. You were the former US Ambassador to Kazakhstan and Georgia as well. Describe to us exactly how it will be monitoring or responding to this situation at the moment.
Well, I think the U.S. and its allies are going to be working together to try and understand what happened. Certainly Israel will have its own sources, as we've seen. Israel intelligence has penetrated a lot of activity in Iran. So it's going to be a lot of effort working together to try to sort this thing out. And then Iran needs to make some fundamental decisions. The devastation economically to Iran, and now militarily, for undertaking this nuclear weapons program is really quite substantial. Does Iran want to continue down that course, or will Iran be more committed after suffering a military strike? Fundamental choices that Iran makes, those are still unknown.
I mean, are you confident the ceasefire will hold? It's looking a little fragile, you could say, at the moment.
Thus far, generally it's holding, but we can't really be sure about this. Making predictions is difficult to do in this business.
Of course. How will Kazakhstan and the likes of Georgia too be impacted by this ongoing Middle Eastern conflict if it does continue? I know Kazakhstan's main exports to Iran is food, correct?
Kazakhstan does have exports to Iran, but these won't be a particularly major thing. I think the key issue is going to be the non-proliferation generally consensus, the international consensus for nonproliferation. It's been quite strong, and it's gotten stronger as the years have gone on. So Iran is now in a situation trying to develop a nuclear weapon, whereas if it had done that some decades ago, it might have been easier to do that because the international nonproliferation consensus was not quite so strong.